The bass line of California Love thundered through the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum as 30,000 fans sang along in perfect unison, completely unaware they were about to experience the most terrifying natural disaster in concert history. When a magnitude 6.7 earthquake struck Southern California in the middle of Tupac's performance, his split-second decision to continue performing instead of evacuating would transform a potential mass casualty event into the greatest display of leadership and crowd control ever witnessed in entertainment, proving that sometimes the most heroic moments come not from fighting enemies, but from fighting panic with music and courage. It was May 18, 1996, at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum during Tupac's All Eyes on Me victory tour, a massive outdoor celebration that had drawn fans from across California to witness what many considered the peak of West Coast hip-hop dominance. The venue choice was symbolic, placing Tupac in the same stadium where Olympic champions had competed, suggesting that his cultural victory was worthy of the same grand stage. But what made this evening extraordinary was the convergence of geological forces that had been building pressure along the San Andreas fault system for months. Seismologists would later determine that the earthquake was triggered by the massive sonic vibrations from the concert's sound system, which had been calibrated to reach unprecedented volume levels across the enormous venue. The irony was devastating and poetic. Tupac's music, which had always been about shaking up the status quo, had literally shaken the earth beneath 30,000 people who had gathered to celebrate his artistic earthquake on hip-hop culture. The evening had started as one of the most triumphant moments of Tupac's career. The massive outdoor setting allowed his music to reach epic proportions, and the crowd was completely unified in their appreciation for his artistic evolution and commercial success. The atmosphere felt like a cultural victory celebration, with fans understanding they were witnessing hip-hop history being made on the largest possible stage. But at exactly 8:47 p.m., during the second verse of California Love, the ground beneath the Memorial Coliseum began to shake with a violence that had nothing to do with the music's bass line. At first, the crowd assumed the shaking was part of the concert's elaborate special effects. The sound system was so powerful that physical vibrations were expected, and many fans initially cheered louder, thinking they were experiencing some kind of enhanced audio-visual spectacle. But within seconds, it became clear that something far more dangerous was happening. The earthquake's intensity quickly escalated from subtle tremors to violent shaking that threatened the structural integrity of the massive stadium and the safety of everyone inside it. Tupac felt the earthquake before he understood what was happening. His first instinct was confusion. The stage was moving in ways that had nothing to do with his performance, and the crowd's energy had shifted from celebration to something that looked like fear. But as the shaking intensified and pieces of the stadium's infrastructure began falling from the upper decks, Tupac realized that he was facing a natural disaster that could kill thousands of people if the crowd panicked and tried to evacuate simultaneously. What happened next would prove that sometimes leadership means making decisions that go against every instinct for self-preservation, and that the most heroic moments come from choosing to serve others when personal safety should be the only priority. Instead of stopping his performance and telling the crowd to evacuate, which would have created a deadly stampede as 30,000 people tried to reach the exits simultaneously, Tupac made a decision that defied logic, but demonstrated an understanding of crowd psychology that would save countless lives. He kept performing. "California," Tupac shouted into his microphone, his voice carrying clearly over the earthquake's rumbling and the crowd's growing panic. "We ain't stopping for nothing. This is our moment. This is our victory." His words and his continued performance had an immediate calming effect on the crowd. Instead of panicking and rushing toward exits that would have become deadly bottlenecks, people focused on Tupac's voice and his unwavering commitment to the show. The band, taking their cue from Tupac's leadership, continued playing despite the terrifying shaking that was making it difficult to maintain their balance or hold their instruments properly. But what made Tupac's decision truly heroic was his understanding that evacuating 30,000 people during an active earthquake would be more dangerous than keeping them calm and stationary until the shaking stopped. "Y'all feel that?" Tupac asked the crowd, acknowledging the earthquake while maintaining his performance energy. "That's California showing us some love. That's the earth itself responding to our music." His ability to reframe the terrifying natural disaster as part of the concert experience was brilliant crowd psychology, and it prevented the panic that would have turned a geological event into a human tragedy. As the earthquake continued, lasting what felt like an eternity, but was actually about 90 seconds, Tupac adjusted his performance to work with the disaster rather than against it. When the shaking made it impossible to maintain complex choreography, he simplified his movements and encouraged the crowd to sway with the earthquake rather than fight it. When falling debris from the upper stadium decks created dangerous conditions in certain sections, he directed his performance energy toward the safer areas, drawing people's attention away from the hazardous zones. When the sound system began experiencing technical difficulties due to the seismic activity, he performed acoustically, using his natural vocal power to maintain connection with the crowd. 30,000 strong, Tupac shouted, his voice carrying across the stadium without amplification. "We came here tonight to shake things up, and look what we accomplished." The crowd's response was incredible. Instead of mass panic, there was mass unity. People were helping each other maintain balance, protecting smaller fans from falling debris, and following Tupac's lead in treating the earthquake as part of the shared experience rather than a reason to flee. But the most remarkable aspect of Tupac's leadership during the earthquake was his ability to use music as a tool for crowd control and emergency management. When the shaking reached its peak intensity, he led the crowd in singing, "Keep Ya Head Up," a song whose message about perseverance and strength was perfectly suited to helping people maintain courage during a terrifying natural disaster. When aftershocks continued to rock the stadium, he performed "Dear Mama," a song whose emotional content helped people focus on love and family rather than fear and panic. When emergency vehicles began arriving outside the stadium, creating additional confusion and noise, he performed "All Eyes on Me" at increased volume, ensuring that his voice remained the primary source of guidance and calm for the crowd. The earthquake lasted approximately 4 minutes, including major aftershocks, but Tupac's performance lasted continuously throughout the entire event, providing stability and leadership when 30,000 people were facing genuine mortal danger. When the shaking finally stopped, the true scope of Tupac's heroism became clear. Despite the magnitude 6.7 earthquake striking during a massive outdoor concert, there were no deaths and remarkably few serious injuries among the 30,000 attendees. Emergency response teams who arrived at the scene expecting to coordinate a mass casualty event instead found an orderly crowd that had remained largely calm and cooperative throughout the disaster. "We've never seen anything like it," said Los Angeles Fire Department Chief Maria Rodriguez in her official report. 30,000 people experienced a major earthquake in a large venue, and instead of panic and stampedes, we found a crowd that had been kept calm and organized by a performer who understood that continuing his show was the safest option for everyone involved. Seismologists later confirmed that evacuating the stadium during the active earthquake would have been catastrophically dangerous, with narrow exits and stairwells that would have become deadly bottlenecks if thousands of people had tried to leave simultaneously. Tupac Shakur's decision to continue performing may have prevented one of the worst concert tragedies in American history, said Dr. James Chen, a seismologist with the California Institute of Technology. His understanding of crowd psychology and emergency management was more sophisticated than most trained disaster response professionals. But the most powerful testament to Tupac's heroism came from the fans themselves, many of whom credited his leadership with saving their lives and the lives of people around them. "When the earthquake started, I was terrified," said Maria Gonzalez, a fan who attended the concert with her 2 teenage daughters. "But when Tupac kept performing, when he kept his energy up and encouraged us to stay strong, it gave us something to focus on instead of the fear. He literally saved our lives by keeping us calm." The Memorial Coliseum earthquake concert became legendary not just for its demonstration of Tupac's courage and leadership, but for its proof that artists have the power to serve their communities in ways that go far beyond entertainment. Video footage of Tupac performing during the earthquake much of it captured by fans who continued filming despite the danger, became some of the most powerful documentation of leadership under pressure ever recorded. The images of Tupac maintaining his performance energy while debris fell around him, encouraging 30,000 panicked people to stay strong and work together, became iconic symbols of what authentic leadership looks like in crisis situations. For Tupac, the earthquake concert reinforced his belief that artists have responsibilities that extend beyond entertainment into genuine service to their communities. He spoke frequently in later interviews about how the experience had taught him that his platform could be used to help people in ways he had never previously considered. That night showed me that when people look up to you, you gotta be ready to lead them through anything, Tupac said in a radio interview 3 weeks after the concert. Music is powerful, but it's most powerful when you use it to help people survive the worst moments of their lives. The concert also influenced how other major artists approached emergency situations and crowd management, with many performers studying Tupac's earthquake response as an example of how to maintain leadership during unexpected crises. 28 years later, the Memorial Coliseum earthquake concert remains one of the most extraordinary examples of heroism in entertainment history, proving that sometimes the most important performances are the ones where the artist's courage and leadership matter more than their musical ability. The night when an earthquake tried to destroy a Tupac concert, but instead revealed the true power of music to unite and protect people in their darkest moments, became a testament to the idea that authentic artists don't just perform for their audience. They perform for their community, even when that service requires risking their own safety to ensure everyone else's survival.